Hello.
My friend,
Where's your headset?
you're not going to believe what's happened. I've lost the microphone part of it.
That's a great start.
Sorry, JB. Sorry, Audio Technica. We've had audio technical difficulties, and I've lost a part of my headset. So, is that okay?
What a better way to start and just a perfect restart up of our podcast.
We're recording.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, audio Technica difficulties.
Yeah. How are you? Look at that hair.
I know, right? This is going to go on YouTube, I think, so people will actually see this.
So you might as well tell us what's going on.
Oh, yes. I'm doing Mullets for mental health for the Black Dog Institute to raise money, awareness, and help prevention of suicide in Australia, both youth and adult, which is obviously, of course, very close to my heart. Anyone who's been on this podcast journey knows what I've been through, and I've kind of come out the other side of that. So I decided to do that, and it's a tough time to ask people for money. I think we're gonna get into kind of the state of the nation for us as Sydney siders, but I just want to bring awareness and start some conversations. And anyone who's seen me, not that we get to see too many people, ask me about my hair, and I get to tell them why I'm doing it, and that's a conversation that otherwise probably would never have happened. So that's what I'm doing. There's a link somewhere. I guess we can put it on Skip This. And,
We'll add it to the link tree.
add it to the
You can
link
find.
tree. We've got a
Yeah.
tree of links. How that works exactly, I'm not sure, but Luke manages that. So so for the month of September, I will be rocking this for the Black Dog Institute. I actually got reshared by the Black Dog Institute, one
I
of
saw that.
my Ryan Pappenhausen stories. So
It was bloody hilarious. We'll share it again on our socials when we release this episode. But
I've been
it's hilarious.
creating some content.
Yeah, you have. Which brings me to the next point. Like our last episode was you jotted it down because you're a stats guy. June 23rd.
Yes, bit's changed, eh?
A little bit's changed.
How are you?
I'm good, man.
Good.
I've had a busy few weeks.
Yes.
TikTok's just going nuts in
Yep.
lockdown, and it's an ever moving beast. So
Sure.
there's always something to do, and one really cool thing that I got to be involved with on the weekend that's just passed was a big fundraiser for Lifeline,
Yep.
where we actually had Lifeline come to our media publishing team, and they said, look, we've had the biggest amount of calls we've ever had in the history of Lifeline last Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of made the decision that we're like, well, we've got to do something. Lifeline's a big partner or has just become a big partner of TikTok. So getting our sort of feet wet in the space of fundraisers, we thought, let's just try and go big and do something good. And we managed to get Delta Goodrum and DJ Tiger Lily to do a couple of live streams over the weekend. And
Yep.
we raised about $5,000
Whoosh.
during the stream, but then we also got approval from TikTok to donate another 185,000. So it's been a really cool thing to work on.
How good.
Like, I mean, our fundraisers are amazing in what we do, but like we would never have sort of the backing that
Yeah, the resources.
that I do now, and it's just it's so humbling to be part of a company that like believes
Yeah.
in the same thing as me.
Yeah, because I remember when you were going through the long and exhausting interview process for that job, one of the things that TikTok were interested in you in your kind of bio and resume was your work in the mental health space with Skip This podcast, and that they were kind of active in that space. And this is, I guess, to the two combining kind of perfectly, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then worlds colliding. Next week is obviously it'll probably be. It's on Thursday the 9th. Is Are You OK Day next week?
Oh, yep.
Which is crazy to think, because I remember us doing a podcast, which feels like not long ago, and we were pre-promoting Are You OK Day.
Yeah.
So that year's just gone crazy. But
Yeah.
one of our past guests, Hugo Tuvey, is going to come and do a guest speaking thing at work. So
Oh,
I'm just stoked that everyone's going to be able to hear his story, because I know that when we heard it, we were just like jaws drop to the floor and
Yeah,
just on
absolutely.
the edge of our
One
seat.
nut and half a gut.
That's
Hugo,
it.
great man, absolute great man.
That's it. So nothing about me. Like
Oh, it's
I,
always
I,
about me, isn't it?
it needs to be more about you this episode.
Yes. Okay.
Tell us what's happened since we last podcasted.
Well, probably the biggest news is that I've had a baby. Well, I haven't not physically had I physically have a baby in my possession, not right now,
You didn't
but
birth it.
I didn't birth it. I was there for the said birthing. Well, that was a bit of a trip, and yeah, I have now a baby, Mackenzie Louise Brown, who is 7 weeks old right now. I think by the time we air this episode, so it's been a bit of a trip. It was awesome to finally see you and Ash on the weekend and kind of go out for a walk. And, it's been
With masks on.
with masks on and socially distanced in a group of two and a group of two. And it's been a bit of a weird experience. Like, since we last podcasted, we've been in lockdown pretty much ever since. It was a day or two after lockdown started. So we're at 10 weeks of the lockdown now. So it's like, it's kind of, for me, it's gone so quick because we've just had this child learning how to become parents and being able to just focus on that. So lockdown really, I mean, all things considered, for us as a kind of young family now, hasn't been so bad. Like, I've still have a job and everything. There's a lot of people doing it very tough, and I understand and appreciate that. But we've been really lucky. Like, we've obviously missed, like, my partner Jamie is from Dubbo, so we haven't been able to get up there and kind of meet all the family up there. Like, that's probably the huge thing we've missed. But other than that, we've been able to just really focus on becoming parents and getting in a routine and just spending just magical amounts of time with our daughter, which, if we weren't locked down, I'd be in the office and I'd be going to work and away from work 50 hours a week, whatever that might be. So try to split it a positive like that. And, it's, I roll out of bed and go to the office, which is next door to the bedroom. So, and, so it's been a pretty amazing experience. I think chatted to you in particular at length beforehand of what to expect, and there's just no words can kind of or can prepare you for that first moment when you have your child put in your arms in the pregnancy, in the birthing suite. And it's just been one amazing experience after another, definitely in amongst some really tough days as well. Like that, it's not all easy. It's definitely not. Again, that was advice we were told. And I remember it clearly. Like, the two things I was most concerned about there's one thing I was most concerned about, and that was the nappies. And it's kind of nice that the first 6 weeks of poos, they don't really smell. So it's like they're letting you put on your training wheels. So you've just got to experience like the sloppy and the grossness of it, but it doesn't smell. So like, I feel like you're walking before you're running. And then the thing that I was not like, that everyone told me about was like, you don't know sleep deprivation until you've had a child. And I was like, hey, I'm fine. That doesn't worry me at all. I've like,
You always said, I don't sleep anyway, I'll be fine.
yeah. And I don't sleep very well, but now I do sleep really well.
Wow.
when I can, because, it's just, there's a lot of late nights and early mornings, and Jamie, my partner's working so much harder than me and all that stuff because she's giving me more sleep because I've got to work. So it's, the sleep deprivation is real. I kind of laughed at everyone telling me that, but I'll concede defeat on that. I thought I knew what sleep deprivation was like, but I didn't. I know now.
Well, I mean, it's a weird thing. I obviously was the same. Like I used to operate probably, and I still can. I can operate off like 6 hours of sleep. I don't really need that much, but you get to a point where you end up sort of stuck in this. I don't know. It's this void of not being able to sleep, and then you do end up having arguments with your partner, and it just, you realize the next day it just didn't mean anything. It was just it was an argument that you had without any sleep, and they don't mean anything.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say is that The flip side of that is that the further you fall into this sleep deprivation hole, the better it feels those nights that Mackenzie will eventually sleep through, and you
Yep.
kind of you wake up and you're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
did he sleep through? Did she sleep
Yeah,
through?
we've
Like,
had a couple of those. Yeah, for sure. It's like it's funny because like your wife Ash gave me some really good advice like a couple of weeks ago, and she said like, listen, like you're gonna argue, but anything you say or do between the hours of like 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., you can't hold on to anything that happens between those hours because she said I actually threatened to kill Luke on multiple occasions because he did the tiniest thing wrong, and it feels so true because like you kind of get you're tired and agitated and you've got to like you're in charge of keeping this child alive. Like there's no training wheels for that. It's
no,
like you're just straight into and like we did 2 4-hour classes on a Saturday afternoon. Like we were like massively like nothing can prepare you for like being responsible for a child. There's no
no. Well, it's a good sort of throwback to the fact that like Ash and I didn't bother with the classes, and I think it
Mhm.
was because someone gave us that advice. They're like,
Mm.
you can train for this game all you want, but you don't know what the opposition's like. So
Yeah, yeah.
how
And
do you?
that's it. And it's just I have like such an appreciation for mothers in general, a much greater understanding of what they do and how much hard work they put in. And like Jamie's just got this human attached to her side now, and I'm still like really nervous and like that comfort levels aren't quite there yet. Like
Yeah,
I only just had my first bath with her and stuff, and I can't settle her in the afternoon. So there's still a lot of work. Like it doesn't come as naturally to me as it has to Jamie. Like I have some amazing moments, and I love singing to her and stuff, and get some kind of reactions like that. But like the hard stuff is still really
yeah,
kind of hard for me. Whereas I think Jamie makes the hard stuff look easy, and the same deal for like my mum or when we first had Mackenzie, Jamie's mum stayed with us for the first 2 weeks, and just watching them and just how like naturally it comes to and I don't think it's fair to say it's just a woman's thing because like you can have paternal instincts like you can have maternal, but that's I'm working on those for sure. And
yeah. Well, I mean, it's early days, man. Like,
yeah.
um, I think the something that someone once said to me is just like these early stages. You almost look at it like it's an animal tribe sort of pack thing.
Mm,
Apparently, the baby looks a lot like the dad when they're born,
mm,
because that becomes the connection that the dad has with the child, and that becomes
yeah.
the only connection they have. And then they also tend to go to the mother more because they're the ones that are giving them like nourishment, and
Yeah, sure.
they're the ones that basically in the wild,
Yeah,
if a mother doesn't get along with the baby, they just reject it. So it's
yeah,
like that
yeah,
animal instinct inside
yeah,
of us that connect us in certain ways. And I mean, it won't be long until she's like wanting daddy and instead
yeah.
of mummy and
Well, I'm
stuff like that.
lucky because Jamie's producing, and she's probably going to hate me saying it, but Jamie's producing so much milk out of the milk jugs that she's putting a lot of it in bottles. So I'm getting to do a couple of feeds a
Yeah, that's the
day,
best.
which so I have this like it's the moment I said it to you on the weekend. It's like you're like because her eyes are, and I don't know if it's baby eyes or her eyes. Her eyes are like this dark, these dark blue eyes right now, and so I can feed her with a bottle and I look into her eyes and she's staring straight back at me. I don't think she can even really see. I think she's seeing shapes,
Yeah,
but her eyes are just this piercing color, and you see your own reflection perfectly. And I thought, and every time I feed her, I get to have that moment and just see myself in her eyes and just know this is like this is my most important job for the rest of my days is to mold this child into what hopefully can be the best version of herself. And it's just an amazing experience. It's just truly humbling, special. Like it just gets all the emotions. It's just really
yeah,
nice, and it's been really special despite kind of the lockdown and not being able to see people like we have, to really kind of just start sharing that with my mum and Jamie's mum, and just watch, Jamie and her mum just having a bond now like never before. It's all just just really powerful. It's just like it's the light amongst the kind of dark days of what is kind of happening otherwise all around us right now, especially in the live event space where we've kind of had to postpone our big event Nitro World Games at the end of the year, and I think the baby just gives me perspective of what's most important in my life. Like, yeah, work's great and it's been a huge and integral part of my life, but it's by far and away not the most important thing like it once always used to be. So yeah, dad life has changed. I've yeah, that's cool. I'm fucking sober for 100. I think it's day 130 today. Actually, yeah, I'm sober for 130 days now.
That's incredible. And I didn't make it any easier because I decided to drop off a little gift for you, and that included a
Yeah,
6 pack of beers. How's that
yeah.
going?
Well, it's a 5 pack of beers because I used one of those beers to clean the filthy barbecue a couple of nights ago. So it's
That's
a
not wasted. Not
no, it's not wasted, but it will probably collect a few cobwebs. I just decided, like, I had that big drink at the golf tournament, which we chatted about a couple of times on the podcast, and in particular with the Welsh brothers. And I wasn't super happy with my efforts, and I kind of knew I was gonna have a big drink then, and then I was just gonna have 3 months off, which basically took me up to Mackenzie's birthday. So it was basically 90 days from the golf tournament to her due date. So I just thought, I'll just have 90 days off. I'll be clear and focused, and at that point, a lot of work on my plate as well. So it was kind of like trying to get that balance right. And I've always been zero to 100. And then it got to closing on the birthday, and I was like, it just kind of just was agreeing with me. And whenever I've done a few 90-day challenges in the past, and it's always linked to something at the end of it. Like even before the golf tournament drink, I did the 90-day challenge beforehand, and I timed that deliberately, knowing I was just going to turn one on that golf tournament. And I did, and I blacked out, and stay at a pub for 4 hours and don't remember it. It was just I did the things I don't want to do anymore, and so it got to 90 days, and then we had the baby, and then I was like, just kind of working, not having a drink, and now it's kind of 2 months. It might actually be longer than that. I don't fucking know. It's just days turn. It's Groundhog Day. But yeah, I've just enjoyed like being clear-headed, and I just can't imagine like getting that drunk like I have a tendency to do, and then coming home and being a dad, and being a part, not just being a shit dad, but being a shit partner too. So
Yeah, I mean, it'll happen eventually, but when you have that hangover with a kid, you'll be like, yeah, that's why I didn't do it.
oh yeah, yeah. And
'Cause-
that's I've spoken to lots of people who
yeah.
are party boys, like another guy, like another former podcast host, and my meditation mentor, Mitch Woods, was the same. He was a party boy. He had the kids, and it was just the switch was flicked. And I don't sit here saying I'm never going to drink again. There's just no way I would ever commit to that. But I enjoy not drinking, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely way easier knowing that no one's at the pubs, and it's been a cold, wet winter, so it's probably not as an impressive feat as it sounds, just by the raw data,
Yeah.
because we haven't been able to see our friends for a beer and rip into a pub for 10 weeks now.
Yeah.
So
Nah.
yeah, man. So that's kind of where life is at for me. What about you, mate? Apart from TikTok, what else?
I mean, we we had Heath during pretty much the start of the original lockdown as well. So
Yep.
I fully understand like where you're coming from in talking about these first really special times at home, and the fact that the lockdown actually was a really good thing because it kind of forced you into this bubble that all you had to do was just concentrate on raising this child. And
Yep.
same thing now. It's just we try to get out for a walk every day. Heath's like at a stage now where he just wants to run and ride bikes and all that sort of stuff. So he's just wild. So we have to entertain him for those hours before and after his day sleep.
Yeah.
And the more you do, like the more you get him out and run around and do stuff, the better he sleeps during the day. And then in turn, which still doesn't make sense to me today, like the more he sleeps during the day and the better he sleeps during the day, the the better he sleeps at night. So they go through this thing where if they are too tired because they haven't had a sleep during the day, then at night it weighs on them and they can't sleep, which you would think it'd go the other way. You would think that they'd just be so exhausted that they would collapse and sleep for hours, but no, it doesn't work like that. So routine is just a
Yeah.
massive part of our life now, and it's
Yep.
just we know the times we can head out. We're being locked down at home. Ash and I get out every morning for coffee and a jaunt at the park for not only Heath but Clive as well
Yeah.
gets to go out and
And you
just
guys need it too, right? Because you're both working
yeah
from home now.
yeah and that's weird too because like Ash and I have only ever sort of in the lead up to this we'd kind of been doing shifts like she would work from home on a day and I'd go to the office and vice versa. Like we'd never really both worked from home at the same time, so doing that pretty much every day is hard. Heath goes to daycare a couple of days, but on those days that he is at home, it's literally just a tag team effort for us to get through all our calls and our meetings throughout the day, while feeding him and getting him to bed at the right time. And there's days where he wakes up early and you're in the middle of a call, but luckily we both have really understanding bosses and staff members that they just understand where we're at. And like
Yeah.
there's so many other people that have it even harder. Like my direct boss is homeschooling as well, so he has to juggle not only being a director of a company like TikTok, but having to teach his kids lessons all day, and yeah, so it really makes you think that we've actually most of the days we've got it actually pretty easy. Like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
book
And
and a lolly or like a bike or something is what keeps him entertained. So like
yeah. My sister's homeschooling three children at the moment, and yeah, that's next level. What she has to deal with on the daily. So I mean, we've got our hands full with one. Like she's got four, three of which is school. It's just like I just what women do, what mothers do is just like I've always seen it from afar, but until you're kind of living and breathing it 24/7, you probably don't ever fully understand. And
oh, it's the thing like when we do the Fits and Fast Five, like the majority of people and pretty much all of the dads that we've had on the show, when you ask them who their hero is, it's always been their
mm,
wife. And I think seeing them give birth to your blood, like I think that just changes everything. And like
mm,
you see what they go through not only in the lead up to it, but then on the actual day, and then even after, like the emotions, the drop, and all that sort of stuff. Like it's incredible how they get
yeah,
through it.
yeah. This is a good little mini, totally by accident segue that we had to mention our naming rights sponsor Fitzim, Rob Pistow down there. He's I caught up with him over the phone late last week. We'd been kind of missing each other for playing phone tag for a little while, and he's obviously a small business owner running a gym, and all things considered, he's got a good system in place to kind of keep all his members happy and keep the income flowing in. He's lost a lot of business, but of course, Rob Pistow doing Rob Pistow things is donating more of his time to other people to help other people. And his current offer, which you can email him at fitsomehq@gmail.com. Goldie, put a link up somewhere, would you?
Yeah, sure.
Fitsom is currently offering all businesses and their employees who are currently without a job, doors shut, or door shut, free Zoom business sessions, fitness sessions for their business. These sessions are for all fitness levels and are a great way to boost your mood, spirit, and energy level in the current climate.
That's so good.
So he's just, again, so he has to run those classes and he does it free of charge
Yeah.
because he knows how important that is for people who, at the moment, there's a lot of people who can't afford to do that. So he's giving it to them for free. And that's the mark of the man, really, isn't
That
it?
is, it's incredible. He's a good man. Robbie. So hopefully it all works out for him, and with the vaccination sort of on track, with hopefully getting to a good number, especially on the northern beaches, that he can get to a stage where he can open up again.
Yeah, he's got the outdoor classes, so he can have a kind of minimal amount out the back. So it's just like they're the people, like the Australian economy, they're the lifeblood of it. Those small business owners, and compound what he does is kind of keeping people sane, fit, healthy, and alive. Like there's nothing more important than like the government has got so many things wrong, and one of them is that gyms and the like and personal trainers have had to be a priority to open for all the reasons everyone knows. So there was a time where you could buy a fucking Louis Vuitton bag, but you couldn't go to a personal training session like not too long ago. So fucking fix yourself, Scott Morrison.
Okay. Well, I mean, you did say you wanted to be a little bit political.
I've decided not to.
Yeah, I think that's for the better. I was going to say, let's just leave it.
I'm pretty opinionated on it all, and I'm not going to share that.
And I mean, that's not what we're about anyway. Like, we've never been a political show.
No, we've always avoided it, apart from the odd Donald Trump shot. And which, to be fair, Joe Biden is a royal screw up right now as well. But yeah, let's leave that alone, mate, because I do have some strong opinions of it, and leave that for another day.
Okay, good. So let's. I
got legal counsel.
Yeah, good. You need it. Let's get into some of your new dad questions that you potentially had.
Oh, beforehand, can I pitch you an idea live on here?
Yeah.
So this has been born from a couple of things. Born from being in lockdown for a while, born from being sober for a while. But I had this idea called the mate date. Basically a virtual catch up with a friend, either Zoom or on phone, but because we can't do a lot of it in person right now. So catching up with a mate without beer.
Love it.
So I want to start having some mate dates with my friends, particularly in America, because they're kind of gone back to normal life despite people just dropping dead in the street from COVID. But again, we won't go there. I almost did.
You're itching.
I'm itching. But so my idea was, like, when it's all said and done and we're back to normal, we go on mate dates, but we go for like coffee or breakfast instead of going to the pub.
Yeah.
That's the idea. It's not really, I don't think I'm the first person to have this idea, but I did Google it. There's no such thing as the mate date, and this is the mate date, and I'm going to start it.
Well, if we build a good marketing plan and come up with a good logo and get it going, I think it's got legs. I think we can do it better than anyone else.
You know what I've been doing recently? I've got some advice from you. I'm learning how to Photoshop, so maybe I'll make the logo. I actually just finished a logo. For Chasing Crateness, my ESPN 30 for 30 documentary about the milk crate challenge.
Yeah, that's very much into that. I think it's very funny.
Yeah.
What about Canva? I signed you up to Canva.
Yeah, I still use Canva all the time, but I feel like I need to advance my skills.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you get the skills on Canva, I think it's pretty.
I tell you what. I just did some clip masking, and what I've done is I've written Chasing Crateness, and I've put photos of milk crates in my logo, and I think I'm a visionary.
I'm impressed. I as much as I use Photoshop, I still don't use masking. I always find a way around it.
Right.
So you're ahead of me.
Right. Look at this. I'm going to fucking send it to you whilst we're talking. Can I do this?
I don't know. Just don't knock the Zoom out.
Look at this.
This is a like an audio medium podcast.
I know, but we'll
have to splice it in here.
We'll splice it in there. Look at this. Look what I've done. Look what I've done here, Luke. Probably won't work.
Like, is this a live, you trying to email me a picture? No, you're trying to text me a picture.
Did it work?
I got a text.
Anyway, I'll send it to you after. You've seen the teaser for Chasing Greatness. So I've upgraded from iMovie, and I bought it,
It's pretty good.
but
I I'm a bit of a fonts guy.
yeah.
I don't like the font. I think we can do better.
What font should I do?
We'll
Let's
chat. We'll chat
put it
off it.
out. Let's put a poll out to the
Font? Who
skip
gives
this
a fuck?
podcast.
Our fans don't give a fuck about fonts. We'll work on it, and then we'll release.
Okay, okay.
This is what it looked like, and this is what it looks like now.
Okay, okay. But no, I've been like, so I wanted to. So you've been very patient with me and kind of not seize control. When you give up control? Do you see? What's that word? It's not seized and it's not ceased. Maybe it is ceased.
I gave you. I let you do your thing.
You've let it go. You've let it go. You've let me do my
You talking
thing.
about YouTube?
Yes.
Yeah. Please, as long as everyone understands that I have let it go.
Yes. So I think it's very important because YouTube has been very active since the podcast has not been. And you've been very, very nice to just let me go. And what I've been doing is I've been, so skip this podcast content goes up when we'll probably do a couple more Zooms now. I've been rehashing all the Nitro Circus content that I've produced over the years, but then I'm working on my own stuff, but I wanted to learn how to edit and do all this stuff because I wanted to start making videos for Mackenzie. That was kind of my primary focus. So I'm learning all these skills because I want to make these videos better and better over time. So it's been, again, with lockdown, you don't have a lot of spare time with a child, but like you do find yourself with a bit of time and you can't do anything. So I'm now watching Photoshop and video editing tutorials on the daily in my spare time in the afternoon and evening. So
I mean, it's a good skill to have, especially when like the whole thing around what we do is creating content.
And I love content. I love my
Content.
My favorite thing in the world is to make people laugh. So if I can, I get a little bit of a kick out of it when someone has a lull at my stuff. And, this month is going to be focused on the Mullets for mental health. And I've got, I don't know if you can see, I've got these fancy dress spots in the background. So I've got about 12 other characters I need to do over the next few weeks. And I think tomorrow I'm going up to the park to do John Daly. That's going to be me outing. So I'm going to play a bit of golf up at the park with a mullet. So
Nice. Just don't do the ciggies.
yeah, you know what? It's funny you should say that.
It's hard to do John Daly without the ciggies though.
In my old fancy dress box, I had fake cigarettes, but I can't find them. They were a casualty of the move. So I don't have the fancy dress. I don't have the fancy dress repertoire I once had, but I've made do because I've collected sports jerseys for the longest time. So I'm doing all these characters based on stuff that I had. So shit story, really. But
yeah, I think
look out for it. Look out for the content.
I think it trumps your vaccination videos. So keep doing the mullet stuff.
Yeah, I'm not making it. I see it. I did the anti-vaxxer video and I was going to do a pro-vaxxer because there's idiots on both sides, right? I'm very aware of that. And then I just decided that was my last content I was going to make on the vaccination because people know how I feel and shit, we're going down that road again. What else were we going to talk about? Oh, some dad stuff.
Dad questions. You said you had some questions for me.
I did have some questions with it. So I kind of touched on it at the start. Like, when did you transform from being kind of awkward and uncomfortable to becoming very second nature?
I don't know. It's definitely at the start. You're very cautious. You're very careful.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're tiny, so you think that like the tiniest thing is going to hurt them, but then like after a while, you realize how resilient they are. It's like anything. Like you just get used to like the weight of them and being sort of comfortable, and they get they learn kind of, and you learn at the same time, like what is comfortable for them and how
Yeah.
they like to lie. Like
Yeah.
as I said before, like we all kids are different, so there's no sort of yeah, hold them this way. It's not going
Yeah.
to work like that. Like
Yeah.
I think a good example was Mitch was talking about his little one Harry, and early on he was like, "Oh, he doesn't like the way I rap him," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
really good at rapping Heath, so I'll show you how to rap him." And then I came over one day, and Barnesy goes, "Oh, have a go at it," and so I did it, and he didn't like it. So it proves that like it's just one of those things. Like you learn what they like and how they want to be around you, and once you get
Yeah.
to that point, then it gets easier, and then they start sort of helping you out by like hanging on to you, and instead of
Yeah.
you just
Spewing on
having
you.
to hold them, and like it's getting good now because like I can walk around the house with Heath if he's upset, like he goes through moments during the day some days,
Yeah.
and he'll just want you to hold him, and like he's like almost 13 kilos now,
Mm.
and think like walking around with a 13 kilo bag isn't easy,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
when they start sort of grabbing onto you and holding onto your neck and doing stuff, it just becomes like it just becomes
Yeah.
much easier. Like you
Yeah. I
just
must admit, like, one of my big final hurdles was like bath time because I still had a bath till yesterday actually because I was just like nervous and not avoiding
yeah
it, but just like the longer you put something off, the more scarier it gets. And for
yeah
whatever reason, I was just really nervous about like being in the bath with her, and I can't really explain why. But then we had a but and she and Mackenzie had been like a little shit for like 45 minutes beforehand. I was pushing her around in the pram to try and she didn't stop crying because I can't really settle her. So
yeah
Jamie's like, just maybe take her for a walk because Jamie needed like a little break. Jamie needed to shower and have
yeah
something to eat. So I was like, oh God. And so I was so frazzled by the end of it. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And Jamie's like, just why don't you have a bath? She loves having a bath. And I'm like, okay, I have a bath. And then we just shared like the most magical experience. She was laughing and she didn't want to get out of the bath. And I was like, God, why didn't I do this 6 weeks ago? So it's all like shit. The baby has all these milestones, but I feel like both of us, but me in particular, have milestones where, like I'm 39 years old. Like learning new things is like not really is scary. Like I say, I joke around about all that Photoshop stuff and that, but like learning how to become a parent, there's no job like it. And yeah, so it's kind of really cool when you do things like that. And I love like the bond Jamie and Mackenzie have, and I want that too. So it's kind of, yeah, it's cool. When
yeah
do they I was gonna ask you, when do the poos turn from non-smelly to smelly, but I think it's actually happening right now, like in the last 48 hours.
food yeah when as soon as food comes
Oh God, she does these, like she's a father's daughter because she farts. And she's, what are those things called? They're like sleeping bags for babies, whatever you call them. What are they called? They're like the little things that their hands stuck in.
like the sleep suit
Swaddle, satchel,
yeah
yeah,
wonder
I don't
suit
know. It's like a baby sleeping bag,
swaddle
swaddle, and she'll do these farts, and so they'll full Dutch oven in the swaddle, and then you open it up because like when
it's
she's
like
done,
opening a plane after a 12-hour
oh
flight
God, bro, and this waft of gas, and she smiles and laughs when she's going, like when she's pooing and stuff. I just think it's so fucking funny because toilet humor will, like, I'll be 90 years old and I'll think toilet humor is funny and farting is funny, and
Yeah. That's like, and that's what half the smiles are at this age as well. Like it's actually, it's rarely to do with the emotion of finding something funny and more to
mm,
do with relief at this
yep.
stage. So like when Heath was that age, we were just like, oh, he's smiling. And then we're like, nah,
Mm.
he's farting.
Yeah. When did you figure out like the cries? Like apparently there's different cries for what they want, and all the cries sound blood curdling similar to me right now.
Yeah. We were kind of lucky in the sense that Heath wasn't really a crier early on.
Yeah.
Like I mean, we've spoken about what he went through early on, and I think he quickly learnt what upsets him And it was really after we got through sort of operations and all the sort of stuff that he went through really early, it kind of just turned out that he would only ever cry if he was hungry. So,
Oh, that's good.
yeah, and even then it was just like it was a cry that didn't really sound like it wasn't loud, it wasn't ear piercing, like he never got to that stage. And um, yeah, we were really lucky in the sense that it was either that or that he was like sometimes he'd get constipated and it would just be that, like he would just be, you
Oh,
could
that
tell
constipation's
he
awful.
was annoying and sort of out of sorts in that sense. But as far as that, like, yeah, I can't really speak for different types of cries because we only really had a couple of them. But
Yeah.
um,
It's funny, like
yeah,
you just feel so helpless, don't you, when
yeah,
like that
I,
constipation and is just like it's just so painful to watch them in pain and you just like you can't do anything.
yeah, and I look at other parents who, and I guess you're included in this list now, is just like who have kids that do sort of lose it and you can't settle them.
Yeah. I can't sell them, Jamie can.
Yeah, well, I guess that's that's the mother's thing, but um, even then, like I never really. There was only a couple of moments there where I haven't been able to settle him, and you
Mm,
kind of just learn that they actually lean towards different people at different times. Like
yeah.
there was a stage there where Heath would only say "dada" for like weeks, and to the point where Ash is like, God, he can say all these words, but he just still won't say "mama." He calls me Ash, and so she was getting shits, and then all of a sudden, like
That's
at
gonna
the
be
end of that day, he came home and he was like "mama," and he's just been like that ever since that time. And now Ash is like, God, I wish he never learned how to say "mama."
It's a little mummy's boy. Mate, you've only had this is my last question. You've only had one of these, so you're not that much more experienced than me. With Father's Day on the weekend, what do we do?
Oh, so I mean, my last Father's Day was a bit of a whirlwind of emotion for me
Mm,
because not only was it my first Father's Day, but it was also my first Father's Day without Dad. So
yeah, sure.
I think early in the morning, or leading up to the day, I was kind of wary and a bit worried about how I was going to feel
Yeah.
on that day because while I didn't like, I I didn't hang out with Dad like on a weekly basis or anything like that, but
Mm,
some of the days that I would always spend with him would be Father's Day and his
sure.
birthday and
Yeah.
special days like that. So I kind of was that week, and I still hadn't really. I had only really sort of felt emotion about the whole thing uh, once before that day,
Yeah.
and then even when it was meant to be sort of his birthday, it was kind of like I got through that. It was all right, and then Father's Day ended up coming, and I think I woke up in the morning and got Heath out of bed, and I looked into his eyes, and I was just like, "Nah, this day is about you now, you and
Yeah.
me now. Like
Yeah.
this is our day to sort of
Forever.
reflect on me being a dad now, and
Yeah.
I just spent the day with him and got to do some cool stuff with him, and
Yeah.
that just I didn't get upset about it. So
Yeah.
I think I don't know. It's just a when you're in lockdown and when you're a parent, like it's just another day. Like you
Yeah.
just get
Sure.
on with it. You obviously like I don't like getting spoiled,
Yeah. You're
like
not.
with
Yeah.
presents and stuff like that.
Never
I
about. You never want it
but
to be about
but
you.
Ash always makes it so like she made it so special for me last year, and I know she's already bought me something for this year. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, all I want is just same thing. Get to
Yeah.
go to the park, go get coffee,
Yeah.
hang out with the family, and
Yeah. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be an emotional day for me because, you know, we've talked about it like off the podcast. It's just I just feel differently now. Like since like even in the lead up to the baby, it was I just felt a mindset change, and particularly I made that video that shared with family and friends from the day of the birth, and just like I talked about just crying tears of happiness, and I've never had like tear like I didn't really know what tears of happiness were.
no, neither.
I've cried before, and I've kind of cried at kind of happy moments, but I've never like uncontrollably cried tears of happiness, and that happened like multiple times in that first week. And watching that video, like I could watch that video now and I'll sit here just crying, just be so happy, because it's like, feels so long ago now. It was only 7 weeks ago, but that was kind of why I wanted to capture that kind of raw emotion of what that day was, and not being able to stay at the hospital because of the lockdown. So I just came home and just put a camera in front of my face. And
like I do want to talk to you about that, because that was one thing that we got to have. Like I think it was a few days after Heath was born that sort of COVID really became a real thing and a scary thing in Australia. And then by sort of the time that we had sort of gotten used to going back and forth from Randwick, we were in it, but we didn't realise, because we were just going back and forth. We were home, we'd sleep, and then we'd go back to the hospital and we'd spend all day there. And we were just in a room, and like, to us, COVID, we didn't know anything about it. We hadn't watched the news. We didn't know what was going on. The only thing we knew was what was happening around us at the hospital, where certain people weren't getting let in, and it was sort of ramping up. But we got out, luckily, just as sort of they stopped having two parents being able to come to the hospital and stuff like that. And even the first 24 hours that we had Heath, when we were unaware of anything bad that was going to happen, like me being able to stay in the hospital for that first night, everything like that, like that was really important for our journey, mainly because of what came very soon after that, which was a bit like it was a lot to take in compared to just having that. But that first night was just, that was pure happiness and feeling that thing. And I can't imagine the emotions that you would have been going through having to go home that night.
Being sent home. It was like, and you know, the hospital's in a very unenviable position of having to like tell the dads, like, people are going in for operations aren't allowed to have visitors. So dads for new babies being born were the exception to who were allowed into the hospital, and I think it's still the case as of right now. And the Northern Beaches midwives up there was so amazing, but the rules were the rules, and you had to be out at 8 p.m. and they bent the rules those first couple of nights. So I was able to stay till like 11 p.m. and midnight, but it was like gut-wrenchingly painful to have to just leave, because that's my baby girl, but that's also my partner who's just gone through the most traumatic experience a human being can go through in giving birth. And whatever it was, 13 hours later, I just have to leave her in a hospital. That was that was probably the hardest thing of lockdown, was having to leave the hospital. And she ended up being in hospital for a week. And that was so difficult, having to leave every night. That was really, really, that was really the hardest part, I think, of our kind of 7-week journey so far, was the kind of having to say goodbye at the end of the night, and then, kind of get back there first thing in the morning and just hopefully hear that the night went well, but sometimes the night didn't go well. And that was difficult. That was a tricky time, but it was easily outweighed by the happiness of, learning how to change a nappy and all that other stuff. And
a sentence I never thought would come out of your mouth. The happiness of learning how to change a nappy.
Oh, bro, what about the diabetes fridge? Like, I ate all the custard and all the jelly out of the and all the cheese. I lived on ham, cheese, toasties for like a week, and I was obviously the loudest person in the maternity ward. That was so spectacular. The girls that looked after us. And
midwives are very special.
Oh, people. Just brilliant. So much empathy and patience, and it was great. It was really good on the job experience, because we couldn't have any visitors, right? So like our mums couldn't come. Poor Jamie's mum was staying with us, and had to wait like 8 days to meet her granddaughter and see Jamie again, because we weren't meant to be in hospital that long, and then she couldn't come up. So it was really like a strange experience. But like since then, it's all been amazing in different ways. But that part was tricky. So I definitely empathize when you hear the stories at the moment where people can't see their dying family and stuff. But the flip side of that is those hospitals can spread COVID like wildfire as well. So you got to not be selfish and realize that hospital is protecting you by not letting you do those things as hard as that is. But I think it'll be an amazing part of our journey forever now. Like Mackenzie's 7 weeks old and has been locked down her entire life. Like I think that she's the COVID generation. She's like, there's stories like that everywhere. And I think, in hopefully 6 to 12 months time, we'll really be able to kind of look back at this experience and just kind of laugh. And I think it really has molded our kind of early parenthood journey and allowed us to focus on being new parents and learning their ways. Of course, we would have liked to have been out and about and seeing all our friends and family. We would have spent 2 weeks in Dubbo by now had we not been in lockdown. Like we miss all that right now, but we'd pick all that stuff back up. It's like that. We've got a lifetime of making memories with this child and our kind of little family now. So I think all things considered, we're extremely lucky. Like clean bill of health. Like I've seen what other parents have gone through, yourselves included, when it's not as smooth sailing on that front. So it's, and kind of how quickly and easily we got pregnant, and we hear the horror stories of that and the tough times of that. So we've been so lucky. So to have a little bit of toughness where I had to go home for 6 hours every night for that first week, I mean, suck it up, princess, really. So
I think you shouldn't feel guilty or anything like that. Like
of course not.
Just be happy, happy with what's happening and take it all in, because she's only going to be that big for a week at a time. Like
it changes every day.
Yeah,
it's such a trip, I reckon. Like obviously you feel she's getting heavier, but she's like the mannerisms start coming. It's just like. Nothing can prepare you for what the range of emotions. I went from being like just so unattached, like when I was going through all my trouble and depression, and just really being unable to control my emotions in the worst possible way, to now like being kind of out of control but very in touch of my emotions in the best possible way.
Yeah.
And I think it's just been so great. Like we talk mental health and mental fitness, but this child is just makes me be the best version of myself. So I'm very thankful and grateful for everything Jamie in particular has done. So yeah, it's been a life-changing experience. How's your mental health, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. I can't complain. Like I'm very lucky in the situation with work. Like I've ended up at a role that can just carry on being locked down. Like I've got an amazing wife and amazing son, and we've got some really good friends and sort of a network that keeps us all going and ticking along. And I mean, there's been tough weeks during the lockdown, and there's been days and there's been arguments and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, when I sit back and think about these things and the arguments that we had, like it's just like, well, they were stupid. Most of the time I was in the wrong, and we just move on, and it makes it so great that that we can just sort of, you can use like this little person to sort of gauge your happiness. And
yeah, absolutely.
Nothing matters when you get a little laugh or a smile out of them, or they learn something new. Like even today, like Heath just started riding a little 3-wheeler bike for the first time, and we'd been trying to teach him how to ride this thing for months, and then all of a sudden we just put it in the middle of the room and he got on it and then started pushing himself around. It's just like we were just sitting there going, how could he pick up this thing? And it's just like, I have all these things that like at work that are incredible, like huge projects that we're working on. They're coming to life, but then I look at this little project that we've got at home,
Yeah, the
and I
best
go,
project.
I just get so much joy out of that sort of
Yeah,
thing, and
yeah, it's cool.
yeah, I'm stoked for you, and
Yeah, it's
I'm just
great.
so happy with your not only this journey into fatherhood, but your journey from where you were sort of 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, it's not far
Um,
off. I think I got back broken from America, I think August 3rd, 2019. So it's like only 2 years ago now.
yeah,
And it's like, I don't think I'll ever really look back and listen to too many of those podcasts, but one of the ones I want to listen to back is the one with my dad, and just kind of, I think I've got a much better understanding about what a dad is
yeah.
now that, like, what a dad is, obviously, but, like to be a dad myself now, I think that's one episode I really want to listen to again. And
Yeah, and I mean, like at that stage, I was a new dad as well,
yeah,
and I can tell that you'll hear something different in your dad's voice
mm,
when he's talking about you
I've got no doubt.
now.
Yeah,
I mean, you probably felt emotion when we did that episode because it was a thing where you were hearing him talk about you like this for
yeah,
the first
yeah,
time,
yeah,
but now that you're sort of almost in his shoes,
yeah, absolutely.
and
And it will be in his shoes
yeah,
eventually. Yeah, definitely.
you'll definitely hear something that you didn't hear before.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. It's been like, we kind of parked this for a little while, the podcast itself, but and we kind of don't like not being in the same room together, which is one of the reasons why we've kind of parked it as well. But it's kind of, feel like we need to keep talking and keep getting the message out and the
Yeah,
good vibes, particularly for, Sydney as a whole, and a lot of our friends who might be doing it a bit tough, and got to check in with your mates. I had like a half an hour phone call yesterday with Smeals, my best mate up in Emerald Beach, and I just called him out of the blue, and it was for no reason other than to shoot the shit.
yeah,
I think there's no better feeling than, making that phone call and not actually asking or wanting something. It's just like shooting the shit, and you're just like, it just feels really nice after that. And I think, again, like as always, let's encourage people, our listeners, to just, check in with a mate, check
yeah,
in with a family member, call your mum or dad and tell them you love them. Don't call your mum and dad. I called mum yesterday and said I need some help around the house. Bless her, Donna, soul of the earth. So, but 3 days earlier, I did call her just to say hi. So
yeah,
I try and get to someone every day to
yeah.
just make
And
one of those calls.
yeah, I mean, Are You Okay Day is just one day, but yeah, we just I think we should push for any day to be sort of a
Yeah,
day
well,
to
I
check
mean,
on your mates.
it's topical. I mean, you can't escape the suicide numbers in the press, in the media now, and I have some feelings about that it does kind of upset me a little bit, in the sense that people are using that as a narrative now. Like, the suicide numbers were really bad before COVID. Now they're at least being talked about. Like, this whole podcast was born because of COVID, right?
Mm,
Like, but my suicide and depression issues were pre-COVID, so we know that it was a big problem beforehand, but it's worse than ever, and it's
yeah,
only going to get worse as, particularly financial strain, and families get stretched and broken and all of that. So a lot of people will suffer in silence, and and sometimes a text message is not enough. Like, if you suspect, and it's just, it's a difficult conversation that could really save someone's life, and you
yeah,
don't know. It can kind of often the loudest and funniest, and the person you'd least expect to do something like that, or be in a lot of trouble, is that person. So
mm,
I think that's the message we should be pushing out, because we're staring down the barrel of probably another 4 to 6 weeks of this lockdown. So, and not just Sydney, look at Melbourne as well. I mean,
mm,
Melbourne have kind of copped it, and we don't know a lot of people down there, but our buddy Audio Technica JB, so shout out to him,
yeah,
and Claire Bear. So I don't really know where I was going with that. I think you were
Check
trying
on
to
your
wrap the
mates.
show. Check on your mate. Mate date. Get a mate date.
Mate date is going to happen. I think that's a really good idea.
Mm.
But I just want to finish the show with a big congrats to you and Jamie.
Thanks, mate.
Can't wait to see little Mac again. And
Social distancing, of course.
social distancing, and even when we're past the social distancing side of things, and we can have like a nice picnic or a barbecue or something where we can hang out.
That'd be really nice. Thank you for all your love and support. Particularly you and Ash are like probably my two closest people who kind of do lean on for that type of any type of kind of advice. You know, we have a kind of daily text chain with fucking dickhead Dove in America who fuck you Dove. So yeah, some of the things that are said in that chat keep me very, very sane at times. So it's nice, it's fun, and dude, thanks for being you and being a great support and friend, and keep doing great things with TikTok and as a family man. And let's enjoy this journey of fatherhood together.
Yeah, and let's do it again soon. Hopefully not with a few months break next year.
I think we'll get back into it a bit more regularly now, won't we?
I think so, yeah.
I'll find my microphone.
Yeah, find your headset. All right, man. Well,
I love you, buddy.
Speak to you soon.
See you, mate. Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.